Hi there, Toadsters, and welcome to Toad Hall once again. Now, the Pacific Trash Vortex is a heap of rubbish that's swirling around in the Northern Pacific. It's an exciting concept. It's largely gotten together because, let's face it, people around the world throw rubbish. It's got to go somewhere. It all ends up in the North Pacific, just wandering around, chasing its tail, basically. To discuss whether Australia should get involved in its own trash vortex, I'm joined by the Professor of Waste Management at Lamoureux University, Professor Amanda Keller. Now, Professor Keller, just give us an idea of how big and where is the Pacific Trash Vortex?
Well, you pretty much take the Pacific Ocean and you halve it, and that's pretty much the size of the vortex as it stands.
So anywhere north of Hawaii?
Anywhere north of Hawaii. Thank goodness it hasn't touched Hawaii, but it's a very exciting thing, and it's just slightly north of Hawaii.
And what's in it?
Oh, let me tell you what's in it. I've written a list from my latest studies. Well, mainly it's bits of plastic. We've got exploded boob jobs, we've got chopped up credit cards, game show hosts, mostly the detritus of a modern city, a modern society.
Yes, and why is it out there? Have you got any research, like have you tagged it? I know you've spent a lot of time tagging birds and crocodiles and all that sort of stuff, wondering where they go and what they do with their time. Have we been able to tag, say, a Coke can and see what its journey is from, say, Sydney to the North Pacific?
Well, I'm very disappointed that the actual vortex is where no one can see it. I was part of the society that met to determine where we should site it. A decade ago, I suggested the North Island of New Zealand. I've got a lot of paperwork that supports that idea.
Yes.
I think it's a shame it's in the Pacific where no one can make decent use of it or have fun with it.
Are you, if I read you correctly, and I've looked at a bit of your work online, suggesting that Australia should build its own trash vortex?
We did look into this. We looked into it actually in Port Phillip Bay. The
Yes.
problem was it doesn't have the swirling momentum. It would have taken a whole lot of school kiddies in little kayaks to paddle in one direction for ages to get a swirl, to get the vortex happening. I just sadly don't think it can happen here.
You mean you're not in favour of a stagnant swamp of rubbish? You want it to move?
I think it's best, let's not talk about Melbourne like that. I think it's best that it does move. I think it has to move for it to be as exciting and thrilling and as part of nature as it is.
Should the Australian waste vortex be supported by the Stimming Toad Foundation? Obviously, the Toad Foundation is just a wonderful way for people to have a tax-deductible contribution to our work here at the Stimming Toad Institute. At the moment, we have donations of approximately $9.7 million, which we're looking for a cause, and we want the people who watch the Toad to tell us what to do with our money. And I'm just wondering if you'd be, like me, supportive of the idea that, let's say, half of this money, which would be about $4.8 million, should go to developing a trash vortex for Australia.
Very much so, and I know exactly what that money should be spent on. The one thing that the vortex in the Pacific is missing is it can't be seen from space. If we could all pitch in and buy the Great Wall of China, put it into the vortex, it could be seen from space. We could all enjoy it a lot more, and I don't even know if we'd need a local version. Let's all contribute to that giant one in the Pacific, and we're all winners.
Great idea. More coming on the Toad.